Well, hi there, I'm Casey.
And I'm Corey.
And we are the Wright Brothers. I'd like to welcome you to our September podcast.
This month we're going to be taking a look at smartphones and kind of trying to figure out, there's so many new smartphones out there with the iPhone hitting the market a couple months ago and all the new Blackberries and things like that. It might be a little bit more of a different decision now than it was a couple years ago as far as is a smartphone right for you and which one to choose.
Absolutely. There's definitely a new generation of smartphones out there. They're much more expandable, much more usable, and much more powerful than they used to be. So there's a lot of information to get into today, so without any further ado, let's just dive right in.
All right, now the first thing you want to do is figure out if a smartphone is right for you. So I think the question that everybody wants to ask is, why get a smartphone? What are the advantages of a smartphone over a regular phone?
Absolutely. And I think there are essentially four key advantages that you're talking about, four reasons why you might want a smartphone. The first one is if you wanted to have email on the road, if you wanted to be able to access your email. The second one would be if you wanted to be able to access the internet on the road, if there's some sort of website you wanted to get to on a regular basis. The third one would be if you wanted to be able to get to your personal information management on the road. And that refers to to-do list and contacts and your notes, that sort of thing. And then the last would be if you wanted some sort of media functionality on your phone. So we're talking about a camera or a video playback. And those are the four main features of smartphones.
Over regular phones. Great, now we definitely see there's a lot of advantages and we've seen those. What are some of the trade-offs? There's got to be some disadvantages of a smartphone as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think really when you're talking about smartphone, there's essentially three main trade-offs. And the first one, which really can't be emphasized enough, is that there is a steep learning curve. And you know, it is going to take you a couple weeks before you even start to feel comfortable with it, and maybe even a month or two before you really start to feel like it's your phone and you understand every part of it. So that's something to be aware of. The second thing is that there's usually going to be a little higher price tag. And
when you're talking about the price tag, you mean not only with the phone, as far as that you're going to pay a little bit more for the actual unit, the phone that you're getting, but also with your monthly plan as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's in fact, that's probably the main thing that we're talking about here, because the handsets have really come down quite a bit. But when you're talking about the data plans, that can be $20 a month on the low end, and you can get up to $60, $70 a month for some of the really expanded unlimited data plans. So that can really add quite a bit to your monthly plan. So that's just something to keep in mind. Is this worth $50 extra a month to me, because that's what you're in for. And then the last thing that you're talking about in terms of a disadvantage to owning a smartphone is usually the phone quality is going to be a little worse. And this is something that's gotten a lot better with this recent generation of smartphones, but it's still not quite as good as your single-use phones. So if you're somebody who absolutely needs to have flawless, perfect phone quality at all times, smartphone's probably not the way to go.
So there's definitely some advantages to having smartphones, but there's also some trade-offs that go with it as well.
Absolutely.
Now let's take a look at maybe some of the top smartphones on the market so that people can decide which smartphone is right for them.
Okay.
All right, now with so many smartphones out there on the market and each of them having their own pros and cons, let's take a look at some of the top in their respective category. And let's start with probably your favorite, the iPhone.
Yes, the iPhone is definitely my favorite. It's the one I own, and there are a couple key advantages to owning an iPhone. The first is just the legendary user interface. It's got this great touchscreen interface, really fun to use, really easy to get used to. It's also got this great version of the internet in terms of, with most smartphones, you're dealing with sort of a slimmed down version of the internet where you can't access every single page. With the iPhone, you get everything, and that's really nice. And then the last thing is that you get really cool media capabilities in terms of listening to music, video playback. It's definitely a cut above what you're used to on other smartphones. Now, I should also say there are a couple key drawbacks to an iPhone which I've had to get used to. And that is mainly it's not designed to be a business phone. And that's something you really find out as soon as you take it out of the box and you realize it doesn't have a to-do function. You can't sync notes. The email runs really slow when you're off of Wi-Fi and onto the edge network. And so there's just a lot of things that you look at and you go, this isn't really designed to be a business phone, but if you're somebody who has a particular use to get a lot of media on the road and access the internet in that way, this can be a really good phone for you.
And of course it turns heads as well. It's kind of fun.
It is fun.
Now let's take a look at probably my favorite, the BlackBerry.
The BlackBerry, absolutely. And this is the most sensible phone on this list, and really I think the undisputed king of the business world with good reason. And that is, I think the thing that really sets BlackBerry apart is their legendary push email service. And essentially what this is where most smartphones, what they have to do is they have to access the server and sort of download the messages on on regular set intervals, which drains a lot of battery, drains a lot of resources, and isn't quite as cool. The BlackBerry pushes it immediately there. As soon as you get the message from the server, it goes right there. It doesn't drain any battery. So business users absolutely love this. Because it makes for a really smart, easy-to-use device. The other thing is that the BlackBerry syncs with just about everything. So you're talking about Eudora, Outlook, Act, anything that you're using, BlackBerry is designed to sync with it. That's really nice. There is one drawback I think, to the BlackBerry. It's not a big drawback, but and that is the media capability. You know, for the longest time, BlackBerries were designed without any media capabilities. No cameras, no video playback, no audio playback. Recently they've added all that stuff, but it's still not quite as good as what you're used to on other smartphones.
And with some of the recent BlackBerries, you really get the feeling that they've mastered the business phone, and now they're starting to make more of a consumer phone and even marry the two, so that you can have really a business phone that isn't so clunky as they used to be. They've got a lot more attractive design. They're adding some of that media capability, so you really feel like they're moving in the right direction as well.
Absolutely. If I had to award a winner or say who is the closest to creating the complete smartphone, I'd say BlackBerry's there.
Great. Now let's take a look at the dinosaur of the group, Palm.
Yeah, Palm is the furthest away from the finish line. You know, Palm is sort of interesting. They really started off this whole market, and yet they haven't progressed that far. And you know, there are a couple key advantages to owning a Palm device. And the first is, which is really unique, is that you can do document editing. So, for instance, if you're dealing with a lot of Excel sheets and you need to be able to edit those sheets on the road, or you want to be able to view PowerPoint slides on the road, a Palm device allows you to do that, whereas other phones don't. So that's very unique. It also runs on a very snappy network on the Palm or on the Sprint network, which is really nice. So you know, there's a couple advantages to it, but the one big disadvantage, and the reason I'm not a big fan of it, is that the user interface is just messy. It's clunky. It's tough to get used to. I mean, you got a stylus, a keyboard, you know, a little scroll wheel. It's just it's a lot.
All right, now let's take a look at one a little bit different from the other phones in the group, the Nokia N95.
Nokia N95. And yeah, this is one you may not expect to see on this list for one key reason. It's not really a consumer phone. It's more of a techie phone. And I think the reason for that is that it's got a really high price tag. It's a little over $700 retail. I can get a little lower if you get a data plan with it. But it's important to point out that there's one key reason why it's so much, and that is, and why it's on this list, and that is that it has a 5-megapixel studio quality Carl Zeiss camera, which is just really unique, and it allows you to completely get rid of your digital camera, and this thing it stands alone as a great camera. So that's really unique, and why we thought that would be a great thing to put on this list for you guys is because if you're an agent, you know, you're out there and you're at a listing, you take a listing and you want to snap some photos and upload them to MLS, this is great for that. You can make sure you're getting studio quality photos.
A lot of practical applications for a realtor to have this phone and
Absolutely.
kind of ditch the two-device system and go all to one.
Right.
So that's a look at some of the top smartphones in the industry. Hopefully we've been able to help you figure out if a smartphone is right for you, and if so, which one. Now, as always, if you'd like a little bit more information or want to figure out which smartphone is exactly right for you in your situation, feel free to give us a call or email. We'd love to help you out. Hi, I'm Corey Wright, star of Wright Brothers Communications Podcast. I've got a very important announcement for everybody. Make sure you mark your calendars this October 9th through 11th for this upcoming CAR Expo. Casey and I are going to be featured speakers at this year's Tech Tuesday. Now, it's an extra registration, so be sure you register, and be sure you register for Tech Tuesday. We hope to see all of you there. And as always, thanks for watching.